What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Prime Sports World, presenting you fantasy football weekly for your Week 13 rankings. I am your host, Israel Rivera. Out is David On Point Huffman. He will not be joining us for the show today, but we will get things rolling for all your fantasy football needs. But before I start, in case I miss you, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And I hope you're thankful for something during this Thanksgiving. And I will be thankful for all that food tomorrow and some good football to be put on the slate. We got some great games here on the slate for tomorrow. But also, I hope you guys got your fantasy rankings, your fantasy lineups saved. And I know that in a couple of leagues, there is a trade deadline season here. I know in one of my leagues there was a trade deadline as well. So around 11 o'clock. So hopefully you guys put in those last minute trades and make your team better for the rest of the season. I know there's a couple weeks. There's a couple weeks in which the football, you're preparing for the playoffs. So just make sure that you guys are already prepared. I know one of my teams is getting healthy. But last week, man, I had a barn burner with one of my buddies. Man, he beat me by 20. I had scored 134 points. He scored 154. So I got to give it up to my boy, Big Mike, for beating me. He had his two highest scoring outputs on me in our fantasy league. And I did talk mad trash. I said, Big Mike, your team isn't scoring 125, 30 points ever again, right? And, hey, I ain't going to lie. I'm going to put it out there. Hey, Big Mike been trying to trade me for Tyrone Tracy, and he got some weak-ass players on his team that I ain't want. I'm just playing. Anyways, no, I'm not playing. I told him he had some weak players. I ain't want none of his players for Tyrone Tracy. But anyways, Big Mike ended up getting the last laugh because he beat me 154 to 134. But I definitely ended up squeaking out a win against David On Point Huffman in our league. So kudos to me for squeaking out a victory in that league. And, man, I lost by the slimmest of margins, where I have a great team where I'm first place for the first time. I actually fell down to second place after this week. Man, I lost by like 0.2 points, like 0.20 points, like a percentage of a point. Like, insane, right? And, Derrick Henry not getting that 52-yard run scamper instead of, Justice Hill was the one that got that scamper. That really hurt me. And if it was Derrick Henry, I probably would have won that matchup easily, hands down. My team averages like 120 points in that league. I only scored 99 this week. It was a down week for me. But anyways, let's get it on to the fantasy football rankings. And I'll start with my rankings first here. At number 1, I got Jalen Hurts in the big matchup against Baltimore this week. That one's going to be – and it's in Baltimore. That one's going to be a hell of a game, probably your game of the week this week. But I got Jalen Hurts at number 1. And then number 2, I got Lamar Jackson. I think both of those guys are going to have great outputs, especially Lamar with his running ability. The Philadelphia Eagles healthy. They got young, hungry DBs. They fixed that part of their defense last year. You could be able to throw on them this year. And Quinyon Mitchell is looking like a shutdown corner out of Toledo. Saw a lot of him out of the MAC. He's looking like a stud. Cooper DeJean, he started off as just like a special teams guy at first. I mean, obviously they drafted him to be a nickel corner or whatever, but with him, Slay, and Quinyon Mitchell, the Eagles have a hell of a secondary there down in Philadelphia. And then number 3, I got C.J. Stroud. Yeah, C.J. Stroud going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he's going to eat in that matchup. At number 4, we got Josh Allen. At number 5, around the top 5, we got Patrick Mahomes going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. And that one always – those matchups, especially in the previous years, always seem to be really good games. Obviously, the Raiders have had down years. but this year is particularly a down year. I expect Patrick Mahomes to feast on that defense this week. At number 6, I got Justin Herbert. 7, Baker Mayfield going into Carolina to face the Panthers. And at number 8, my top 10, Bo Nix has been a hell of a quarterback. He's playing at home, especially at home, going up against Cleveland. His last 5 games have been probably some of the best numbers at the quarterback position in the NFL. At number 9, you got Jaden Daniels, who was the highest scoring quarterback last week. So kudos to Jaden Daniels with continuing his great rookie season. He's got a good matchup going up against the Tennessee Titans. Even though that defense is a little stingy, I expect that defense to break just a bit as they keep the pressure on them. And then around my top 10 is Joe freaking Burrow from the Cincinnati Bengals. They got a good matchup. Well, not a good matchup, but they got an AFC North matchup against Pittsburgh. That should be an exciting game right there. And on my outside looking, I got Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, and Jordan Love. I like Matthew Stafford matchup against New Orleans. I think that can be a little bit of a high-scoring game, and it's kind of a get-right game for the Los Angeles Rams, who pretty much just got gashed by Saquon Barkley en route for 255 yards. And then Jordan Love, who, had a pretty solid game against San Francisco, really kind of managed that game as, Josh Jacobs was able to run the football at will in that game. So I got him in my outside looking in my top 13. And if you're looking for some cheap options in daily fantasy, look no other than FanDuel other than Drake May at 6,800 and Bryce Young at 6,600. I like Drake May. I like both of those matchups. As a matter of fact, Bryce Young, he went against Kansas City in Carolina, albeit, but he went against Kansas City and went up against one of the best defenses in the NFL, and he looked sharp. I like what Bryce Young. I like what I saw out of Bryce Young the last couple of weeks. I know he had 10 fantasy points the week before, but from where we were to now. And, especially last week, I like Bryce Young was making every throw in the book. He even led Carolina down for the go-ahead touchdown. And, you left a little bit too much time on the clock for Kansas City to get down there and kick a field goal. But Bryce Young is, nice and cheap in the FanDuel. And, I like that matchup this week against Tampa Bay. And then Drake May at 6,800 going up against Indy. He's at home as well. I like Drake May's running ability, especially in a red zone, get you a touchdown there. Drake May has been pretty damn solid as well since he's been a starting quarterback for the New England Patriots. And then David's rankings, he's got Patrick Mahomes at number 1. He really likes that matchup against the Raiders. 2, he's got Jalen Hurts. 3, Joe Burrow. He's a little higher on Joe Burrow than I am, going up against Pittsburgh. At number 4, he's got Bo Nix. Real high on Bo Nix there. He's got Bo Nix in the top 5. At number 5, he's got Lamar Jackson. 6, Baker Mayfield. 7, Josh Allen. 8, Jaden Daniels. We're about the same there. 9, Justin Herbert. He's a lot lower on Herbert than I am, about 3 slots lower. And then round out his top 10, he's got Kyler Murray. I believe they have a matchup against Minnesota. Yes, in Minnesota. Expect Kyler Murray to kind of have a get-back game there against the Minnesota Vikings. Should be a good game between them and the Arizona Cardinals. And them and the Minnesota Vikings. And then on these outside looking in, we got Jared Goff going up against Chicago tomorrow. 2, Caleb Williams going up against Detroit tomorrow. And then CJ Stroud going up against Jacksonville. And then a sticky option in DraftKings is Trevor Lawrence at 5,400 going up against the Houston Texans. I'm sorry. So that's Daly's. That's David's rankings. Please let us know what you like in the comment section here as well. As Prime Sports World brings the heat here 24/7, ladies and gentlemen. And then our options here at running back. We'll start with David's rankings. We had number 1, Saquon Barkley. He likes that matchup going up against the Baltimore Ravens. And number 2, that's one of the best defenses as well. And needless I say, one of the best defenses going up against the Baltimore Ravens. So, it's in the run defense, not the pass defense, but should be one hell of hell of a game when it comes to that. At number 2, he's got Jahmyr Gibbs going against Chicago. At number 3, Joe Mixon, who's pretty much, been on a tear all season, pretty much. Joe Mixon, had 3 touchdowns, 2 weeks ago. He's going against the Jacksonville Jaguars defense that just isn't that good at all. So, yeah, I think that, I think that's actually just to have Joe Mixon in your top 3, period, should be the focus point this week. So that's that. And then here at number 4, we have, hold on one second here. At number 4, he has Kyron Williams in a get-right game. After kind of having pedestrian numbers last week against Philly, I guess when you're kind of down, they start to abandon that run a little bit. But he likes Kyron Williams, this week. I don't even think I have Kyron Williams in my top 10 going up against New Orleans. And then at number 5, he's got Derrick Henry. At number 6, Josh Jacobs, coming off that 3-touchdown performance against the San Francisco 49ers. They're going up against Green Bay's going up against the Miami Dolphins this week at home. And then at number 7, he's got Christian McCaffrey. 8, Alvin Kamara going up against the Rams. 9, James Cook. And then 10, Breece Lightning Hall. And then his outside looking, he's got Aaron Jones, Bijan Robinson, Devon Achane going up against the Green Bay Packers, and his cheap option in FanDuel is Braylon Allen. But the New York Jets going up against the Seattle Seahawks at home. He likes Braylon Allen, probably get a red zone touchdown this week. And then on to my rankings, I got Joe freaking Mixon at number 1 here. I think he's going to have a phenomenal game going up against the going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sorry, folks. And number 2, I got Saquon Barkley, and number 3, Derrick Henry. I think, why not? Both of them in the top 3, both of them the top running backs in the league. All 3 of these guys, I think, are 1, 2. I think when you look at Saquon, Derrick Henry, and Joe Mixon, I think it's 1, 2, 3 in that order. This order this week is Mixon, Barkley, Henry, but those guys have been the top running backs, in my opinion, all season long. Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, that's going to be a hell of a matchup to watch. And number 4, I got Alvin Kamara. I think the LA Rams defense is Swiss cheese. I think Alvin Kamara is going to have a big game. And number 5, Devon Achane. Even though the Green Bay Packers are a top 10, top 15, top 10 rushing defense, Devon Achane can kill you in the passing game as well. I look for him to have a slew of catches against my Green Bay Packers. Especially in PPR leagues. I love Devon Achane. Number 6, I got Jahmyr Gibbs going up against the Chicago Bears. David Montgomery's a little injured, a little banged up this week. So expect Jahmyr Gibbs to get, if he's out, David Montgomery's out for that game against the Chicago Bears. Jahmyr Gibbs, especially it was a short week too. Jahmyr Gibbs' his fantasy value is sky high this week. At number 7, I got Bijan Robinson. 8, Josh Jacobs. Yes, I like Josh Jacobs in that matchup this week against the Miami Dolphins. Even though that's a stout defense, I think that the Dolphins coming in at Lambeau, it's getting a little colder outside. Lambeau's a tough place to play. At the end of November, early December, I like Josh Jacobs. Running styles is perfect for that weather. And number 9, Christian McCaffrey. And then round out my top 10 is Chase Brown going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And on my outside looking in, I got Bucky Irvin, Chuba Hubbard, and Jonathan Taylor. Yes, Jonathan Taylor going up against the New England Patriots. And my cheap option in FanDuel is Gus Edwards at 5,900. He will be starting this week for the Los Angeles Chargers, going up against the Atlanta Falcons. So you guys don't want to miss out on the Gus bus, because when the Gus bus gets going, especially if they get in the red zone against the Falcons, I mean, he's money. We saw last year double-digit touchdowns for the Ravens. Gus Edwards, or it was 2 years ago, I can't remember, but Gus Edwards is a bona fide red zone elite scorer. When he gets that ball 2 yards, 3 yards out. So I expect Gus Edwards to actually have a really big game this week against the Atlanta Falcons. this week. So I would totally have Gus Edwards as a fantasy option this week. Give me 1 second here, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, moving on to wide receivers. I'll start with mine. We got Nico Collins at number 1 here. Yeah, I mean, I got Joe Mixon at number 1, Nico Collins at number 1. Why not? The Jacksonville Jaguars are just not a good defense at all. And I just don't think that they're, going to be able to, do anything significant.
Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network.
So, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, at number 2, I got AJ Brown going up against the Baltimore Ravens defense, who just terrible defense in the passing game, the worst pass defense in the NFL. I like AJ Brown this week. And then number 3, I got Justin Jefferson. Yes, Justin Jefferson is going to have a big game, I think, against the Arizona Cardinals. So look out for that. And number 4, I got Puka Nacua. And number 5, Jamar Chase going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It doesn't matter who you put in front of Jamar Chase. He's going to have a good game. Amon-Ra St. Brown at number 6 against the Chicago Bears. At number 7, I got Cooper Kupp, kind of a get-right game. I kind of was blanketed a little bit by Quinyon Mitchell, but Cooper Kupp, I think, will have a nice game this week. And number 8, I got Mike Evans. 9, Drake London. And then rounding out my top 10 is George freaking Pickens. And then outside looking in, I got C.D. Lamb. And then number 2, Malik, can you be my neighbors there. And then at number 3, Ladd McConkey, who's having a great 4-game stretch for the Los Angeles Chargers, had 80 yards last week as well. Coming off that 100-yard performance the previous week. And then my cheap option in FanDuel is Noah Brown at 5,500 from the Washington Commanders. And I'll tell you this, Noah Brown in the last 5 games, I believe, has had 6 or more targets in every single game. He's caught 6 or more passes in every single game. Noah Brown has been elite for the Washington Commanders. Actually, let me get that one right, because I want to give you those real factual numbers for Noah Brown, because off the top of my head, that's what I remember seeing here. Here, Noah Brown, I believe he plays tomorrow too. Here, give me 1 second. I'm going to catch that stat that I saw for Noah Brown right now. Noah Brown. Noah Brown has at least 6 targets in 4 of his last 5 contests. Last week, he had 6 of 10 targets, 71 yards, and a loss against the Cowboys. Noah Brown also 33 yards, 7 targets against Pittsburgh, 4 targets against Philly last week, 6 against the Giants for 560, and then 6, obviously, 73, and then the touchdown catch in the Hail Mary game against the Chicago Bears. So Noah Brown, I definitely am running with him this week as a cheap option in FanDuel. And then moving on to David on points rankings, he's got A.J. Brown at number 1. I think we're in the same boat there. A.J. Brown is going to have a great game against the Baltimore Ravens. 1, they commit a lot of penalties. 2, they can't guard anybody. 3, they play a lot of zone. And A.J. Brown, it's just a recipe for disaster against A.J. Brown. I like A.J. Brown this week. At number 2, I got Justin Jefferson. 3, David's got Jamar Chase. At 4, he's got C.D. Lamb. 5, Nico Collins. 6, Cortland Sutton. And then 7, he's got Tyreek Hill going against my Green Bay Packers. I'm going to pump the brakes there. I don't have Tyreek Hill in my top 10 or my top 13 at all. I just don't think that they're going to have – I think they're going to get blown out in Green Bay, to be honest with you. At number 8, I like Mike Evans. 9, the sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then David's got Terry McLaurin there at number 10. Scary Terry McLaurin at number 10 for the Washington Commanders this week against, I believe it's Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. And then his outside looking in, he's got Drake London, Malik, can you be my neighbors, and Cooper, can I get another Cooper Cup for a big bad game in the top 13. And his sneaky option in FanDuel is Marquez, Valdez, Scantling. And I'm going to be real with you, Marquez, Valdez, Scantling. The team is kind of mistaking me. I think it is New Orleans. Okay. Marquez, Valdez, Scantling at 4,500. David thinks he's going to have a great game this week. And we were talking about it. That game might be a potential, shootout with LA and New Orleans. So look out for that game. But for right now, before we get to our tight end rankings, we all know that Prime Sports World is on the Huddle Sports Network. You can also catch us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch and Twitter as well. And catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard as well. But just to pause for this quick commercial break by the Huddle Sports Network. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning in to real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table, covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing insights that you won't find anywhere else.
And on to our tight end rankings here. I'll start with mine at number 1, and those rankings, those graphics look a little skewed there a little bit. But anyways, I'll try my best to read them. At number 1, I got Brock freaking Byers. Hey, look, the youngin's got hey, look, we're putting a gold jacket on him early on in his career. Brock Byers, number 1 tight end in fantasy this season, number 1 tight end in football, period. And then at number 2, we got Travis Kelce. Yes, he's legit going to have a gold jacket on him. But yes, he's been superseded by Brock freaking Bowers out of University of Georgia. Incredible rookie. Had a bad week last week, Brock Bowers. So I expect him to bounce back against Kansas City. That should be a hell of a matchup. I'm excited to watch that one between Kansas City and Vegas and watch those 2 tight ends go at it. And number 3, I got Trey McBride, who's just been steady as they come all season long. And number 4, I got TJ Hawkinson. At 5, I got George Kittle. 6, Cade Otton going up against the Carolina Panthers. 7, Taysom Hill. At number 8, I got Evan Ingram. 9, Jonnu Smith going up against the Green Bay Packers. And then at number 10, I got the other side, Tucker Kraft from the Green Bay Packers going up against Miami. And then on my outside looking in, I got David Njoku, Sam Laporta, and Hunter Henry, who's been pretty solid for New England Patriots, especially since Drake May's been the QB there or inserted into the starting lineup. And then my cheap option in FanDuel, looking no other than Stone Smart at 4,600. And if you guys don't know who Stone Smart is, he is the backup tight end, really the third string tight end. Well, he had some big games last year for the Chargers, but he's the backup tight end for the Chargers this year, especially with his name's Will Dissly, obviously with the knee injury, but their other backup, he's on IR, and it's gonna kill me if I don't get his name right. here. But yeah, Stone Smart is probably in line, especially if Will Dissly is not starting. You're gonna catch you'll catch Stone Smart probably in the starting lineup, and look for him to have a big game. Last year he had a couple big games, a couple incredible plays, and at 4,600, why not roll the dice on Stone Smart? And then going to David's rankings, he's got Trey McBride there at number 1, really high. He's really high. I'm high on Trey McBride too. I just to the end, for the rest of the season, I'm going Brock Bowers at number 1. I don't care who he's going against. But yeah, Trey McBride going against Minnesota, that should be a good one. And number 2, he's got Travis Kelce. 3, Jonnu Smith. 4, Evan Ingram. 5, Cade Otton. And then at number 6, he's being real disrespectful, and it's probably getting under my skin right now, but he's got Brock Bowers there going up against Kansas City. And then at number 7, I don't understand that, David, if you're watching. I don't understand it because Vegas is going to be down, so they're going to air it out a lot, and Brock Bowers is going to get probably like a bajillion targets. So he's going to catch at least 10 balls, I think, this week. So his fantasy value is high. He's got him in the top 6, but like you're disrespectful putting Jonnu Smith in number 3. Like, come on, bro. Like, let's be real. Brock Bowers should be in the top 3 at all times in fantasy this year. That's all I got to say. And then at number 7, he's got Hunter Henry. 8, Dallas Goedert. 9, Tucker Kraft, my boy. And then at number 10, he's got Mark freaking Andrews from the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then his outside looking, he's got George Kittle, Will Dissly, who I just talked about with Stone Smart. It's a short week. He had a knee injury. I'm not sure. I'm not expecting. Well, I think they play on Sunday, the Chargers, if I'm not mistaken. So, he probably has some time to, recover going up against Atlanta. But nonetheless, I'd be prepared for Stone Smart to possibly start in that slot. And then right on his top 13 is TJ Hawkinson. And then his sneaky option in FanDuel is Chig Okonkwo at 3,100 in FanDuel. And I believe Chig plays for the Tennessee Titans, if I'm not mistaken. Chig is the guy that he caught a bunch of touchdown balls on like a 3-game span. He caught a touchdown ball last week. He had that one lone 70-yard touchdown for the Tennessee Titans. So David's going off of that. Before then, he was pretty pedestrian. His best game before that was against New England Patriots at 5.3 points on the 3rd of November. That was like 3 weeks ago. And then before that, his best game was against Buffalo at 7 points. Then he had a decent game where he scored a touchdown against Chicago Bears in week number 1 at 8.5 points. So, yeah, he had 13.5 points last week off that one touchdown pass. So 1 target, 1 catch, 70 yards, 1 touchdown, and David's putting him in as a cheap option in DraftKings. So Chig Okonkwo for David there as a cheap option. And then moving on to his defensive rankings, he's got the Kansas City Chiefs. I think we both there had the Kansas City Chiefs. We're both right there in agreement. Going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. Chiefs probably, top 10 defense. They're going to have a good game against the Vegas Raiders. At number 2, we got the Denver Broncos at home. I think that's going to be a great game for them. A great game for Baker Mayfield. Not Baker Mayfield, but Bo Nix going up against Cleveland. Jameis Winston is the quarterback. I know Jameis Winston, big win against Pittsburgh, a couple weeks ago or whatever the case is. But, yeah. I'm not sure if Jameis, that's a tough defense to go in and play against. At number 3, he's got the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, I got the Cowboys in the top 5 as well. At number 4, he's got the Bucks, and then right on his top 5, he's got the Buffalo Bills. And then at number 1, and his number 1 outside looking in, he's got the Washington Commanders. At 2, at 7, he's got the Houston Texans, and at 3, he's got the Miami Dolphins. And then he says, look no other than the New England Patriots at 2,500 on DraftKings. And then moving on to my rankings, obviously I talked about the Chiefs. I got the Texans at number 1 going up against Jacksonville. At number 3, I got the Commanders this week going up against Tennessee. I like that matchup for them as well. At number 4, we got the Dallas Cowboys. We're in agreement on that one. I think the Dallas Cowboys even though it's not a good defense, they got Drew Lock. They're going against Drew Lock. Tommy DeVito's getting benched. He's being reevaluated, I think concussion or something. So Drew Lock could be the quarterback for New York Giants as the Dallas Cowboys, as they got to face the Dallas Cowboys at home. I expect that to be a game the Cowboys win and win pretty handily. At number 5, I got the Denver Broncos. And the only reason I got them at 5, and don't rush to kind of call me out, but look, Jameis Winston, I think if there's anybody that's going to go and if they're underdogs and there's anybody, the supreme underdog, Jameis Winston, will go into Denver and probably score a couple touchdowns, but he's going to give you a couple for the Denver Broncos. So I like them to turn him over a couple times at least. And then on my outside looking in, I got the Seattle Seahawks, the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, my Green Bay Packers. I think they will have a great game and score double-digit fantasy points this week against the Miami Dolphins at home. And then my cheap option in FanDuel is the New York Jets. They're at 3,700. I like the New York Jets this week going up against Seattle at home. I think that's it. I honestly, in my opinion, I think that game it's not going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be a defensive show. I think obviously the Jets suck on offense, right? So Seattle's, in my outside looking in, they look good. But defensively, I think the New York Jets, even though they got some injuries, I think at home, I think they'll play well enough against the Seattle Seahawks. Gino's going to come in, former team. He's going to try and show something against them. And I think they can force them into a couple picks. I think they might get a defensive touchdown this week. Be on the aware and be on the lookout for that. But at 3,700, I'll roll the dice with the New York Jets defense this week. And then getting up out of here, last week, our top fantasy point getters, and I don't really got to say who number 1 is because we already know who number 1 was. Saquon Barkley, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 47 yards receiving. He had a total of 46.2 fantasy points according to PPR on ESPN stats. At number 2, we had Jaden Daniels at 30.4. At number 3, we had Jordan freaking Addison against the Chicago Bears. He had 8 catches, 162 yards, and a tutty. At number 4, we had Cortland Sutton here at 97 yards, 2 touchdowns for the Denver Broncos going against the Vegas Raiders. And then at number 5, we had Patty Mahomes in Carolina with a big game, 28.76 fantasy points this week. He had 269 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions in the air. And then he also had 60 rushing yards on the day. And then just rounding out the top 10, Josh Jacobs, obviously, with the 3 touchdown performance. Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle, they had great games against the New England Patriots. And then Bucky Irvin with a career high in rushing. He had 87 yards rushing with a touchdown and 64 yards passing, good enough for 27.1 fantasy points. And then rounding out the top 10 was DJ Moore here with 106 yards receiving, 13 yards rushing, a touchdown, and 26.9, which was good for 26.9 fantasy points. And then right behind him was Caleb Williams at 26.9 as well. Both of them were actually tied for 26.9 there. So that's why I got to mention Caleb Williams on the top 10. But when it's all said and done, who do I think for week 13 to eat that turducken, to pick up that turkey leg, to score the most fantasy points this week? And I will say this. Give me Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon is going to have 4 touchdowns on the ground against Jacksonville. He's going to have a hell of a game. 4 touchdowns, 150 plus yards, 50 yards receiving. Joe Mixon's going to have a hell of a game. He'll score past 35 fantasy points this week. Look for Joe Mixon to have a big game this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's my number 1 guy. But before we get out of here, guys, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving with family. Don't eat too much. Make sure you save enough Make sure y'all ain't ignorant at the table, poking fun at your family members and everything like that, but it's all fun and games. And just remember to be thankful for something on this day and enjoy some football for tomorrow. You can catch us here at Prime Sports World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and also the Huddle Sports Network. And you can catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard. That's Apple Music, Samsung Music, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Spotify, ladies and gentlemen. So you guys don't want to miss that content as Prime Sports World keeps it locked in, 360-degree access. And shout out to our listeners out of Finland, out of Portugal, out of Brazil, out of England. Hey, we got some guys from England listening to our show. So shout out to all you guys listening to the podcast and listening to the Prime Sports World. And make sure to please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Guys, you don't want to miss that hot content. But in case you missed this show, you can catch us on the Huddle Sports Network here at 10 p.m. as this show will air there. But you guys don't want to miss that as well. If you have a Roku device, you can catch us on the Huddle Sports Network, as I like to say. But in case I missed you, hey, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Sayonara, suckers. Until next time.